Welcome to another video, guys. Today we're going to be talking about the real best decks after the latest patch came through. A lot of things have changed after the latest buffs and nerfs, and Demon Hunter is definitely the big winner out of the lot, but we can still see some pretty interesting developments in the meta. So in this video I'm going to tell you what the 5 best decks are, talk about mulligans, win rates, and general tips, but we're also going to talk about all of the other working archetypes for each individual class, so you guys know what you should be playing with, as well as what you're probably playing against. I hope you find the video helpful, and if you do, it would be awesome if you guys drop a like and subscribe to the channel. I'm doing my best to keep you guys as well informed and updated on the developing meta, and you guys can even catch me out live over at Twitch each Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. But now, let's get into it. Before we get into the best decks, I'd just like to remind you, if you ever wanted to support the channel for free, the best way to do so would be if you actually download Raid from my premium download link and start yourself a fresh new account with 4 amazing champions as soon as you open it, and you're also gonna have 48 hours to use the promo code section for an extra amazing legendary champion. I've even made myself a YouTube channel for Raid, and I gotta say, I have been blasting videos quite a lot over there as well, so you definitely could give me a check and see how we're doing over there too. I gotta say, the game is much better than I thought, and probably like you, I thought it was not good enough, but I gave it a try, and I gotta say I haven't dropped it for almost 4 years straight now. So yeah, give it a check, see how good it is for yourself. Like, the strategy is so deep, the graphics are awesome, and the fact that you can be playing this thing both on your PC and on your phone, kinda insane, not gonna lie. Here's what my account looks like. Here it is, class of 2023, so we definitely did start off pretty long time ago, and I have been really skyrocketing through the progress. Like, the game is really rewarding if you actually know what you're doing over there, so give it a check and do let me know in the comments if you guys joined in, and I could even give you a free account takeover over at some of my live streams over at YouTube. But now, let's check out the best decks.
You are not prepared!
Right, so of course the first deck on the list is clearly going to be a Void Demon Hunter list, and right now a faster, more leaner Void Demon Hunter list is definitely the best performing deck for the class. Hearthstone have already confirmed they're actually looking at Demon Hunter right now, so we might see a buff revert really soon, maybe in 10 days from this video, but until then you can definitely abuse this deck for easy legends, and you either gotta be playing Void Demon Hunter or something that does well against it, and spoiler alert, there's really not many things that do well against it. But yeah, in all honesty, I will not be surprised if this guy goes back to its prior form without the battle cry, so be on the lookout for that one. I'd say the meta did slow down enough for this guy to work even without this thing, and the weapon, even though felt like it was a minor buff, really does amp up the void action a lot, so yeah, it's a lot better now. Anyway, what is this Void Demon Hunter list looking like? Well, it's basically teched out through the roof with a bunch of cards that are gonna help you in the mirror matchup with things like Cult Neophytes, which are basically gonna cockblock Void Demon Hunters of actually playing their Void Souls a lot in a single turn. We also have a couple of Vipers in here, which again are mainly for the Stardust Sai, and the rest of it is pretty standard stuff with the Broxigar package. We also have a couple of Glacial Shards, which again are gonna be cock-blocking the Sai swinging. So you're basically either playing Void Demon Hunter or playing good decks against it, or playing Void Demon Hunters that are good against Void Demon Hunters, so you can really get yourself that edge. I will probably give this updated version a try tonight, so be on the lookout for that one, but now let's check out the matchups. Here's what it is. Literally everything is green. I think we might have a problem here, Hearthstone. The deck is just way too strong, basically across the board, so right now, if you're playing this deck, you have no reason not to be legend already. As for the mulligan, here's what's gonna happen going first. Of course, you are gonna be looking for all of your good Void cards, and if you're curving into the Stardust side, that's gonna be amazing. The Sigil of Sea is fine, the Grim Harvest is also okay, the Portal, the Void Blast, heck, even a Cult Neophyte might make the cut, even though I'm not a big fan of that keep. Roster Viper might also be great, but only if you already have a perfect hand, I'd say. On the coin, however, I'd say the Viper and the Neophyte make a little bit more sense, but for the most part, still, you are gonna be looking for the Void stuff. For other good Void Demon Hunter lists, and I do mean that, like, there's no good other Demon Hunter list, so it's either Void or nothing. Here's the one I'm showing you, 5,000 games with almost 63% win rate for the last 3 days, but of course we also have other options with this one, less win rate, less sample size, so it is clearly worse, without Glacier Shards involved. We also have the greedier version, which initially was the better one with a single Ravenous Fell Hunter. We even have versions with double Fell Hunters doing okay. This one's also running things like Horn of Feasting. It's pretty close to the one I showed you last video. I think this is the one exactly I showed you on the last video, or maybe close to it. The Sigil of Cinder definitely was not involved. But yeah, for the most part, Void Demon Hunter, either super quick or super slow or somewhere in the middle. As long as it has the Void stuff in it, you should be having an insanely good time. Like, look at this nonsense. So many games with this this deck. Like, let's check it out at games. 29, 19, 9,000, 6,000, 6, like, it's insane. And the other big winner of the new patch is, of course, gonna be Face Hunter, which did get nerfed, but was that even a nerf, Hearthstone? Like, seriously? How many times do we have to tell you this card is gonna be good even at 6 mana? And it literally is. Like, even if you nerf it at 6 mana, it's still gonna be exactly the same power level. And right now, basically, Face Hunter is the best fast deck in this slow meta, and it actually does have a good win rate against Void Demon Hunters, I do believe, so no wonder it's actually doing this well. This is a pretty standard list of Face Hunter nowadays, with the added tripwires and such. Like, nowadays those really are a staple, with the beast tripwire, the arcane tripwire, the weapon, as well as the locations. It's just a perfect mix of extra value out of nowhere, and you still have the super strong early game package with some amazing one drops, with a lot of burn damage, a lot of one drops, and of course Confront the Tolvir at the end, which every time you feel like you've actually handled Face Hunter, they just play the stupid Confront and everything is back to square zero. We also have the Sylvanas package in here, which is definitely strong, but yeah, for the most part, check out my detailed guide about Tripwire Face Hunter and you should be good to go. Matchup wise, here's what we have. Like I said, you're actually slightly favored against Void Demon Hunters apparently, at least for all Void Demon Hunters, all sorts of different versions. Some lists might be better than others against you, but for the most part you should be winning. You're not going to be great against Mug Shaman, but you're not going to see too much of that nowadays, and Dragon Warrior also is having a little bit too much burn and armor gain for you to be happy against it, but everything else definitely great. As for the mulligan section, here's what we have. Going first, the Fletcher is going to be absolutely amazing for a turn 1/0 mana hero power. The Railer is also great, the Sizzling Cinder, so basically any of the one-drop minions are going to be great, but I emphasize on the minions. Like, you're not going to be looking for things like Tracking or Tame Pet. They're in here for later, so you can actually load up your Confront the Tolvir. You don't want to be wasting tempo early on with those. The Underbelly network is also pretty good. The weapon can be nice, but not the most amazing thing to be playing on turn 1. You'd much rather build a board. Arcane Tripwire if you're curving into it especially. Varisa can be okay. Sylvanas depending on the matchup. Beast Tripwire if you're curving into it. That kind of stuff. Going second, again, same deal. Look for the good one-drops, the location, the weapon, the tripwires. Again, Varisa and Sylvanas can be great. The one-drops are gonna come down naturally. Technically, you could hold on to Confront the Tolvir if you already have a perfect hand, but really try to have a perfect hand already. For other good Hunter decks, this is the one I'm showing you. Almost 1,000 games with almost 61% win rate. Definitely pretty amazing, but we also do have the version with King of the Underbelly, which is doing just as good, with a similar sample size, but of course a couple of percent less win rate. And scrolling down further, we can see basically iterations of those. So yeah, basically either play Face Hunter or Underbelly Face Hunter and you should be good for the class. Companion Hunter is still absolute dog water, and I haven't seen much of a Quest Hunter either, so there's that too. Spot number 3 is going to be for Paladin, and Beatrix Paladin with the 2-mana Scarlet Bruiser is actually taking up the first spot now. The Maiev Pally list I showed you also is super strong with a lot bigger sample size than this, but this one has like a couple of more percent win rate with less sample size, but still definitely looks stronger. It's not a new list or anything like that. We have seen something like this not too long ago. I'm pretty sure we had a coaching session with Jadis with it like a couple of weeks ago or something. But yeah, this Hunter list is definitely doing quite well right now. You have yourself the Vigilant Sentries, which are definitely way too much stats for way too early. We of course have the Flight Maneuvers, the Brokenness Dormus in here. The Scarlet Recruiter is pretty amazing, so you can actually fish out those Scarlet Bruisers indeed, but also it could be fishing out things like Violet Treasure Guild and Fins Beyond Time, which would be pretty bad for you. But of course, odds are in your favor. With 10 Bruisers involved, you should be getting luckier more often than not. We also have a decent chunk of removal with things like Consecration. The Judgment could be used both offensively and defensively, like you could be using it as an equality, even though it's a little bit clunky on that side. And we even have the Truth Seeker in here, which definitely actually does give you quite a lot of damage, and you could technically tempo it out a lot sooner than you're supposed to with the help of Acceleration Auras, especially with the Violet Treasure Guilds, which could also be fishing out Convalescence, by the way, so it's not super reliable, but still you should always be happy with whatever you get out of it. Check out my detailed video about this deck if you want to really know how it works out, but now let's see the updated related matchups in this meta, and Face Hunter is gonna be slightly negative. Same can be said for Aura Paladins and Mug Shaman if you manage to find them. Dragon Warrior slightly on the negative, and the good news is you are gonna be decent, actually pretty good against Void Demon Hunters, so no wonder this deck is actually having this good a win rate right now. So yeah, for the most part, you do have yourself quite a few not so very amazing matchups, but they're not that popular nowadays, and since you're gonna be great against Void Demon Hunter, what more can you want? When it comes down to mulliganing, going first, you are always gonna be looking for your Violet Treasure Guild, the Righteous Protector is nice, curving into the Vigilance Sentry can be great, Reinforcement Aura, I'm not a big fan of it honestly. If you already have a good curve, sure, but if you don't, I wouldn't really hold on to it. Flight Maneuvers can be amazing early on, Acceleration Aura if you don't have Violet Treasure Guild already, heck, even if you do have it, we do have 4 2-drops in here, so why not? You could also consider Convalescence, the rest I really wouldn't be holding on to too much, even though a Scarlet Bruiser wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to be doing on turn 2, but odds are in your favor. If you throw everything away, you're probably gonna get the Bruiser anyway. On the coin, it's literally the same deal, so mulligan accordingly. For other good pally decks, this is the one I'm showing you. Not the biggest sample size, true, but almost 61% win rate, definitely nothing to scoff at. And here's the MyF pally I was talking about, 5,700 games, but with almost 58% win rate, so we do have almost 3% difference here, albeit the sample size is much bigger. Scrolling down further, we can see Aura pally is still fine, basically Beatrix pally with the Bruisers as well as Gelbin involved, and we can also check out other versions of these 3 archetypes, so these would be your options right now. Ek Paladin, what the hell is even that? A bad deck, that's what, according to the stats. On the number 4 spot, we have Shaman, but it's actually not gonna be Mug Shaman, guys. It's Z Shaman this time, and this deck is having some pretty serious win rate and sample size right now. It's actually looking a lot better than what we remember, and yeah, apparently the meta is actually quite favorable for it. When it comes down to a Z Shaman, you can't really run any spells in your deck, so the only things we have in here would be minions and the Tiny Pals, and the rest of it is basically just a good amount of cheap minions so you can actually amp up that double Battlecry hero power on every 5th minion, and the minions you want to be doubling the battle cry of would be your herald minions, your buff minions like the security bot. You could also be doing that straight out on Alakir, which could be insane, on Ultraxion it could be amazing as well, and so on and so forth. The deck definitely does look pretty fun, and I am willing to actually give it a try maybe even tonight, so be on the lookout for that on tonight's stream over at Twitch. But now let's see what the matchups are looking like, and yeah, it's actually decent against Void Demon Hunter guys as well as against Face Hunter, so this would be a big selling point why this deck is actually this good. It's gonna be very good against things like Chef Druid as well, and from what I hear, Chef Druid is actually pretty decent against Void Demon Hunter too, so we might be seeing a rise in popularity here, even though so far I'm not seeing too much of it. Scrolling down further, we can see a few bad matchups. Mug Shaman apparently is slightly on the negative, but that's really about it. Nothing else is actually far from 50%, like Dragon Warrior barely under 50, but literally it's exactly 50 if we gotta round it out. So yeah, apparently this deck is definitely a great option to be climbing with, so give it a try, especially if you're sick of this Void Demon Hunter meta. Going first, here's what we keep. You're gonna be looking for the Goon, for the good 1-drops, Maiev can be absolutely amazing for you. The Firefly gives you a lot of cheap minions to be playing early, the Skywell Sentinel can be great. Basically, hold on to anything under 2 mana, like 2 mana or less is gonna be great for you. If you already have a couple of those, you might even consider something bigger. On the coin, again, much of the same stuff, like look at this. Literally every single 2-drop or less card is at the top, so it's one of the simplest decks to be mulliganing for. If you already have 3 of the good cards, then I'd say you could be considering something like a bigger minion, like a Xavius, like a security bot, but not before you already have your good early game covered. For other good Shaman decks, this is the one I'm showing you, 4,000 games with almost 60% win rate, kinda insane, but how much are we gonna have to scroll down to actually see a Mug Shaman? Here it is, 690 games with less than 58% win rate, not the worst, let's not pretend it's still not a viable deck, but it's definitely not the monster deck we all remember and hate. Scrolling down further, we can see more iterations of those decks, and basically nothing else. Here we can see a Z Shaman with the Slack Claw, which did get fixed and it's no longer deleting opponents double kindreding like that. So yeah, basically it's either gonna be Mug or Z Shaman, but Z Shaman definitely looks to be the strongest. People have been asking me how is Herald Shaman doing? It ain't doing well, guys. And on the last spot, we actually have Dragon Warrior showing back up, even though with a little bit on the modest side when it comes down to sample size. The win rate is still definitely close to 58% win rate, so it's not as bad as we thought, but it definitely is a little bit clunkier. Warp Tooth requiring one extra idiot to actually take damage for you on your turn is gonna be slowing it down, and you're no longer just gonna be able to actually pull it off thanks to a single Mother Duck. But for the most part, you still should have no problem actually getting some pretty good results with Dragon Warrior, according to the stats at least. I'm not gonna talk too much about the deck, it's basically same old when it comes down to the list, so just check out a previous guide of mine. But let's see what the updated matchups are looking like, and oddly enough, we don't see how it's gonna do against Void Demon Hunter, which definitely is a red flag if you ask me. You are gonna be great against Face Hunter and Tripwire Hunter, however, so that's a big yes. You're not that great against Mug Shaman, which is no longer in the meta, and Quest Priest, what is that even? You shouldn't be seeing too much of those, but if you do, you're not gonna be very happy. Let's actually check out a similar list. I saw one very close to this one with a lot bigger sample size. Maybe it's this one. And here we can see you're actually gonna be pretty good against Void Demon Hunter, so yeah, I guess Warrior is definitely not bad in this meta. Being good against both Void Demon Hunter and Tripwire and Face Hunter, why wouldn't you? Although these stats might be muddy, like this does show for the last 30 days right now, so it is kind of questionable. It might actually consider this the old Void Demon Hunter matchups, but it's anyone's guess, honestly. Anyway, for the mulligan, here's what we have. Going first, you are gonna be looking for your good 1-2-3s. Of course, the Carrier Whelp, the Dark Rider, the Brood Keeper is amazing, the Petal Peddler can be great, Darkscale Brood Mother is also pretty huge, and curving into the Slither Drake can be absolutely insane. Curving into the Mother Duck can also be good, but again, it's not gonna be the only card needed to actually pull off quick Warp Tooths. On the coin, it's much of the same stuff. Try to get the good 1-2-3s and you should be good. As for other good warrior decks, this is the one I'm showing you. 58.3% win rate, not that bad, with only 530 games however. But the reason why I included it into this top 5 is because we do have a much bigger sample size with decent respectable win rate as well, with just a single card difference. By the way, let me just check if these matchups here are gonna look a little bit more realistic. Yeah, here it is. Void Demon Hunter is gonna be positive for you, as well as the Hunter lists, so yeah, you are having a few bad ones, like Quest Priest is definitely not gonna be great for you, but everything else is very close to 50% or very much in your favor, so climbing shouldn't be that bad. Anyway, scrolling down further, we can see plenty of other versions of Warrior doing okay, but not as good as they used to. We can scroll down and see Egg Warrior doing okay, 53-ish% win rate. From what I hear, it's actually pretty good against Void Demon Hunters. Control Warrior, also known as Logash Warrior, I don't know why they call it Control, it's basically mid-range, is not as good as it used to be. And we can scroll down further for Herald Warrior, which is really not that great. So yeah, that's about it for the Warrior class. Moving down to the classes we haven't mentioned so far, let's start off with the newly buffed Death Knight, and so far the situation really is not that great for the class. Here's a Corpse Death Knight that's doing best for the class right now, and it literally doesn't have a single buff card in here by the way, so it's same old news for the deck. We can check out further. Herald Death Knight still pretty dog water, even with all of those buffs we saw, and Corpse Death Knight simply is not picking up. The one with the eggs I'm talking about, with the newly buffed prep card, so far it's really just not doing well in a meta like this. As for Druid, Chef Druid would be your best bet just because it's doing pretty well against things like Void Demon Hunter, and to be fair, the meta definitely did slow down for it, but even though you're gonna be reaching into your greedy turns much more often, I'd say it's still a little bit too random. Yes, you are gonna have high rolls here and there, but for the most part, it's definitely not a very consistent deck. We can also check out how Merifra Druid is doing, and so far she really ain't doing that well. As for Mage, Burn Mage would be the only archetype of the class that's actually doing well from Diamond 5 to Legend, even though in top Legend Quest Mages can be really strong if you really play them well, but with all the Vipers going around mainly because of Void Demon Hunters right now, the class is definitely suffering big time. For the Priest class, Quest Priest would be your best bet. There's a control variant of it, there's a much more quest-oriented variant of it, both of which are actually doing pretty fine if you know how to play the decks. As for Azalina Priest, it's still absolute dog water, I'd say. Actually not that dog water, 50% win rate for a random bullshit Fiesta deck like this definitely ain't no joke. But yeah, if you're trying to really climb, I doubt you're gonna be doing it with Azalina Priest. If you want a real challenge, yeah, this would be the new Whizbang challenge. Moving down to Rogue, I actually almost included Troublemaker Rogue in here because if we gotta be honest, this does have the same win rate as the Dragon Warrior, with basically the same sample size too, and it's looking pretty strong. Historically, we don't really see Rogue in Diamond 5 to Legend as much because the class simply just has a little bit higher skill cap than most, So now it's actually kind of surprising that this deck is this high from Diamond 5 to Legend for the last 3 days, but I did include the Dragon Warrior just because it's a much more reliable list you could be using in Diamond 5 to Legend, and also we did have a version of it with pretty good win rate with a much bigger sample size, whereas with Rogue we simply don't. Anyway, Troublemaker Rogue did definitely take a thick hit. Vanessa being nerfed as well as Troublemaker being nerfed at the same time was a huge hit for a deck like this, but it still is actually looking pretty strong, and if you know what you're doing with the deck, you should still be climbing very well with it. Scrolling down further, we can see other iterations of Troublemaker Rogue, with and without Garona. Some are running Twilight Mistresses, and so on and so forth. So yeah, with the Twilight Mistresses, you are going to be pretty good against things like Void Demon Hunter if you actually manage to reach the Twilight Mistress turn, but with the amount of coins the class has access to, you should have no problem usually. And the last class we haven't talked about would be Warlock, and Herald Warlock definitely is looking a lot better than it used to, and it actually did feel pretty nice for me to play on the last stream, but right now, the more the meta settles, the harder the deck returns back to some mediocrity. And here's the deck I showed you on the last Warlock video: 2800 games, 53% win rate. Like, this was literally close to 57% when I tried it, but yeah, it keeps on slopping. Rafaam Warlock is playable, and you could even see it in Top Legend, but it's a little bit too all over the place. Yes, we do have a lot more card draw in the deck, but it's still a little bit too random. I might give it a check if we gotta be completely honest. It's always fun playing Rafaam Warlock, especially if you're on the winning side of it. But yeah, scrolling down further, we can see all sorts of other iterations of Warlock. Egg Warlock not doing that hot. So yeah, it's basically gonna be Rafaam, Egg, Herald, or Demon Lock, which no, it's not gonna be Demon Lock, guys. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this top 5, guys. I hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing for your climb to Legend this month. If you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, a like and subscribe would really be appreciated, and I will keep on providing you with top quality Hearthstone content. If you want to support the channel for free, you can download Raid from my premium download link and check out my YouTube channel about it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Kris, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.